Still Fino again, everyone. Just going to cover a few more boring topics before we get on to the good stuff, like meeting new people, making friends, going out, what are the customary procedures, what are the nice gestures you can do whilst at uni, and socialising. But first, just to cover the boring ones, like I said earlier. So this video is going to be about budgeting. We'll split up into two parts. One will be about student loan and how to manage your money, and even getting a job, kind of. And the second part will be about overdraft. Okay, hope you enjoy. So what is budgeting? Well, budgeting is keeping track of your money. It's, in its most basic form, keeping track of every penny that leaves your bank account. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I am going to split up into two parts, and that is money in your account and money in your wallet. Now, the money in your wallet, I'm not going to tell you to worry about it, because most of us know what's already in our wallets when we go out or when we're out and about shopping or socializing. Instead, I'm going to focus on when we want to take money out from our accounts. How do we look after it? Well, first things first, how do you even get the money in the first place? Well, student finance mainly, they help us out. They give you money if you apply for it. And it's not just a set amount either, it's based on how much you've earned in the fiscal year previously, which I believe is April, May time, not too sure, but it's that year. So all your pay slips, they would count towards how much you would be allowed to get from student finance. It's also dependent on your parent and guardian, how much they've earned, and according to what they've earned, if they fit into certain brackets, you will be allowed a certain amount of money. This comes in two forms, the loan and a grant. Now the loans you do have to pay back, and usually it's on top of your tuition fee. So for one, you'd get a maintenance loan, and say for example if that's £1,000 a year, that will be on top of your £9,000 a year that you'd pay in tuition. That is, both those amounts you have to pay it back until after you've left uni and started earning £21,000, which is perfectly fine because you don't have to worry about the debt, as some people call it. I personally see it as an investment into your future, but some people see it as a debt, but it's a debt you don't have to worry about until you start earning. The grant bit, that's the bit you get to keep. That's the bit that they just line your pockets with, and you don't have to worry about paying back anyone. That's the best bit about student loan. The student loan, in my opinion, is the bit you don't have to pay back. It's essentially free money, but it's money that helps you live, helps you survive. So, how do you look after the money? Well, I recommend that you put it in a rather boring, it's kind of sad as well, Word or Excel document. What you do here is put in the amount that you have, not the bit that you're expected to get, not the bit that you want to get in the next week. If you have £10, put the £10 in. If you have, well, what I do recommend that you round it down to the nearest 1,000. Why? Well, say for example you have £5,200. It's not an amount that I've seen anyone get from student finance in one term, but let's just say it's an amount for now. Let's say you have that 5,200. I'd say put in 5,000 into the amount on your Word or Excel document. That way, when stuff comes up, or say you forget to follow the next few tips, you have a little bit of a barrier to fall back on if your maths don't add up. So what would you do? Well, with that 5,000, you then say, hey look, put it in, and then every time you use your card, you then put that amount into the Word document. Every time you go out and use an ATM or cash point to take out £10, that goes into your Word document when you get back. Not necessarily what you then did with the £10, that's not really relevant entirely really, it's pretty much how much you took out from your account, so put that in. If you then went online shopping and then browsing Amazon and eBay, put that in as well. If you spent £3.35, put that in the Word document, because if you know what you have, again, it helps you relax when you've put it into perspective. So how do you work out what you have each week? Well, put simply, is to put in the amount to the nearest 1,000 into your Word document. Then divide it by how many weeks is to the next drop. For one example, it's between September and January was the first term. So divide the amount that you have by how many weeks it is. That'll give you a fair amount of how much you can spend each week until the next drop. However, don't just rely on that expected delivery date. Student finance has been known to be late. I myself was a victim, as it were, of a late payment. So you should put in at least 2 or 3 weeks variable where you have money just in case. The thing that you should always do is your big payments, the things that can't be negotiable, like your rent, if you have to take it out monthly, or if you have a car and you're paying insurance per month on it, put that in. Or if you're making repayments per month, stuff like that, put that in at the beginning and just take that away from your initial amount. That will then give you, again, how much you can spend per week, and if you're sticking to that, you don't have to worry about that money being taken out either, because you never see it taken away, if that makes sense. You know how much you have, you know how much you can spend, so those payments themselves are taken care of. However, that doesn't mean you shouldn't neglect your bank statements or just check in when you go to a cash point how much you have left. Just check it just to make sure that the payments have gone through, of course, if you're doing direct debit. Again, another story. So what I'll talk about in the next video, well, like I said earlier, we're talking about overdrafts and pretty much how desperate it can be when you fall into the trap of having an overdraft. It is a low point of most people's financial lives, but at the same time, it's something that can be completely avoidable if you manage your money properly. And for some, it has saved their life. So I'm not going to negate or just brush off the overdraft. I will give you some tips on how to get out of it and how to manage yourself when you are in an overdraft position. But hopefully, if you stick to these tips, you should never have to use an overdraft. Okay, that's me, Dr. Delfino. Thank you for watching, and I'm signing out. Please, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment as well. I like reading comments. Comments are great. Even on other people's videos, I read comments and comments on those, and it's just nice, you know, a sense of community. Sense of community is great. Oh, now my phone's ringing. Peace in the Middle East.